Sorry about that. Welcome to LOCKBEARD in brief. I'll switch my. There we go. I was watching a YouTube channel called Bigfoot and Cryptids Next. They uploaded a video yesterday called Peace Part 2. Where she encountered an insect called the lanternfly. I was unfamiliar with it, so I started poking around, trying to find some information on it. And it turns out it's one of my pet peeves in the world is introduced species. These things don't belong in the U.S. And let me start by showing the video that caught my eye. We need young minds trying to think of solutions to things. And this teenage girl found one way to combat these lanternflies. So let's just take a look at this news story.
But those nasty spotted lanternflies may have finally met their match in a girl from Montgomery County.
WFMZ's Jamie Stover explains. This is home for 14-year-old Rachel Berge.
Every other is a different type of maple. They're all maples.
But someone...
1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's some others up there.
And a bunch of his buddies recently invaded the place.
There's a lot up there on the tree.
Rachel started caring because they were hogging up the tree she likes to climb.
I had no idea what they were. They didn't really make me want to climb her tree anymore.
Then she found out she might not ever be able to climb her tree anymore if the spotted lanternfly did what it does and kills trees. So she got to work.
And so this is my trap that uses their natural instinct to go up against them.
When the bugs start crawling up the tree, they hit the foil ring.
They'll see this tunnel eventually, and when they see the tunnel, they will go up through there.
They do it because it's the only way to keep moving up. They end up here.
So like, see here, my hand, there's netting here. So the spotted lanternflies here, they can't feed onto the tree.
So they die about 24 hours later. She killed 1,200 of them in 2 weeks with just 2 traps.
I don't have to spray them with any type of pesticide. I don't have to do anything to them. I don't have to squash them.
Rachel is headed to Washington, D.C. next month. She's one of 30 middle schoolers competing in a national science competition. No matter who wins, I'll say this, spotted lanternflies, you finally lose. Jamie Stover, 60.
So that was very good. Similar traps have been used in other circumstances. So you know, it's not necessarily 100% a new idea, but this is the first I've seen of anyone doing that. Although, like I said, I was unfamiliar with this particular insect until yesterday, watching Bigfoot and Cryptids Next, NEX, where she encountered some lanternflies on her nature walk. And so I just started poking around looking at them. I saw where a guy was killing them with a spray bottle full of a mixture of half dish soap and half water. So that looked to be working. And someone was using neem oil. A lot of insecticides would work, but I really think we need to stop using a lot of the insecticides on the market. They are killing a lot of insects we don't want to kill. Daily Dance here, he says you're back. Yeah. I'm doing these in briefs live instead of just pre-recording and uploading, so I can talk to you guys a little bit, even though it's going to be short. Keeping them short for people who don't want to watch long live streams, and then they kind of know what the subject's going to be um, for the 15 to 30 minutes or so. And it's just some people don't want to watch 3 to 5 hours of live streams. Yeah, Judy's here. Welcome. Yeah. Kids thinking, she observed the behavior of these insects and figured out a way to knock a bunch of them out. She's using trap trees, which I had read about that after I saw them yesterday. It turns out that a tree that I despise is a primary host of these insects. So um, the lanternflies come from southern China, Taiwan, Vietnam, and they've been introduced here. They do not belong here, and the host tree that they like, it's like a primary host for them, comes from that area as well, of course, and it's now like all over the place. And it's called a tree of heaven, Ailanthus altissima, or Chinese sumac. And tree of heaven, it's just a worthless tree. The wood's extremely weak, and it just sprouts up all over the place. And personally, I think if you have some land and you have it on it, you should destroy every last one. We have them here in Oklahoma. I can see a whole grove of them from where I'm sitting now. And they are helping these lanternflies to survive. So I read somewhere where someone was saying we should use the male tree of heaven as a trap tree, just as this girl was using those maples in the video there as a trap tree. So the male tree of heaven would probably be an even better tree to trap on. And so maybe we keep some of the males around, eliminate all the females. I don't know if it's possible to pull that off. By the time you introduce a species and it gets widespread, it's really hard to get rid of it. But that may be an option. These lanternfly, it's a spotted lanternfly, and they got them in about 7 states: Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Virginia, Indiana, and Ohio. And so they may spread if serious efforts aren't made to combat them. Invasive species cause so many problems, and we really should try to do something about them. Daily Dan, great idea. Most people got a short attention span. That's why I keep my videos around 10 minutes most of the time. Yeah. Meredith, new person to the channel, I think. Says, Lockbeard, I'm here. Hello, everyone. I used a mixture of peppermint oil and some other oils on my fence to keep away from climbing it. And getting into my garage, it worked. Non-toxic. Yeah, it's a good idea. Judy says, yeah, lanternflies leave the poison out of this equation. I've been poisons with all types in the garden center and landscape business. I grew up in this. Yeah, I think we can do a lot to combat problems like this without poisons. I'm sure a lot of you have heard that the honeybee populations are taking a big hit because of all of our insecticides. And we really should try to stop that. I don't know, Meredith. They may not like them. there apparently there's some research being done into using the natural predator of the lanternflies from Asia to combat them, but then we're just introducing another species that don't belong here, which could be a problem. They saw this problem. It was in Australia, I believe. Australia, man, a lot of introduced species have caused a lot of problems, like the rabbits. They brought the rabbits. We got rabbits to hunt. Well, the desert's expanding in part because of the rabbits, and Australia does not need any more desert. But the sugarcane operations, they had the problem with pest on the sugarcane, and so they brought in cane toads to eat the insect that was eating on the sugarcane. Well, now the cane toad is a pest, growing in numbers, just uncontrollable. Native wildlife tries to eat the thing, and the cane toad is poisonous. So this sounds like there's people out there getting the wrong idea to bring in another introduced species to control the spotted lanternfly. We should look to our own predators, I think, to try and deal with this, and our own methods. There's a picture of the lanternflies for those that are. I've never laid eyes on one myself, but there they are. Let me catch up with chat here. Or frogs. Yeah. So these are decent sized insect. Like, I think that these would be a little big for our native tree frogs to deal with for the most part. Maybe not, because they got to swallow it whole, I kind of wonder if praying mantises might be the answer. We have native praying mantises. I've raised them before. This is one of the reasons why I need some lab space to play around with stuff. Because I think that maybe they don't favor them. I don't know any of this. Like, somebody needs to look into this and try to figure it out. Let's say, someone was to get some cages and raise praying mantises in them and offer them nothing but lanternflies to eat. And in several years, you may be able to breed praying mantises that are a greater threat to the lanternfly, and then start releasing that particular breed. It's changed slightly from its natural form, but not much. Enough to help combat the lanternflies with no poisons, using a native predator. And if the lanternflies are eliminated, hopefully one day, there won't be such a great change to the native praying mantises to be detrimental, not as detrimental as introducing a predator species from Asia to try and combat these things. Judy says Australia's in desperate times with their fruits right now. No one wants to harvest them, so I heard just today. Yeah. Our government's caused this, everybody. There's no reason for it. I mean, here I am trying to get back into the workforce so hard, and hopefully this job calls me that I think's probably coming. But, they're just doing things to make it harder for people to go to work, And now some people, they're getting a check, they're not going to go to work. They don't want to. They've gotten used to sitting at home and not doing anything. But that's not everybody. That being said, I don't think we need a fruit industry at all, personally. I know that sounds crazy to a lot of people. But I'm living proof, and many other people are living proof, that humans are designed to eat primarily fatty red meat. You don't need fruit all the time. That food pyramid was nonsense. You don't need it all the time. You don't need produce sections. You don't need vast orchards. Put some trees in your yard, down at the park, a few around. Harvest them when they ripen some fruit. Have it as a treat once a year, depending on species. Different species ripen fruit at different times, but it's not that hard. Just plant a tree in your yard. Plant an apple tree, a pear tree, a peach. Some maybe some blackberries on your fence, some grapes. You don't need the produce section. You just don't. So this may be a good thing. I don't know. In a way, caused by bad things, but that being said, the fruit industry isn't getting totally tanked everywhere. There's a vineyard just down the road from me that they were harvesting last weekend. So, we're going to be all right. If we don't have any fruit in the stores, we're going to be all right. What we need is meat. We don't need anything else. Judy says, we lost our natural predators. Great idea. LOCKBEARD using praying mantis. Yeah. If money becomes less scarce for me going forward, I definitely want to get some lab space. I have so many things that I could be doing if I had the lab space, and I don't know if I would specifically do that. The praying mantis idea. There could be another predator. There could be another native predator species that we could try to selectively breed a little, to be more aggressive towards to have more of a preference towards lanternflies. But that's really something that needs to be worked on in that area and not my area. Because the only way I could do it here is to bring some of those bastards here, and that's a bad idea. It's a bad idea because, what if there's an accidental escape? What if a tornado comes through and destroys everything and releases anything that's alive in the lab? Well, we just messed up. We just introduced lanternflies to Oklahoma. So they really should do this in the states where there's already lanternflies. That way, accidental escapes won't make the problem worse or expand the infected range. Judy says, we're in chaos right now today with government taking over, pushing us into the controlled dictatorship. We are. I was definitely visibly angry with the LOCKBEARD in brief number 1 about Biden's announcement yesterday. Completely uncalled for. Build it underground. Ideally, I would like to, if money allowed. Meredith, I'm a big fan of underground construction. If I build a home, it will probably be underground entirely. But we'll see. There's really a lot of this that it depends on me getting back back into my career and making at least a decent income, which has been really hard to accomplish for 10 years in my case. Because I mean, I've run across some problems in the past, and then of course last year happened, and that just compounded the issue. So we'll see. I'm hoping I get that call. I think they're going to hire me, so I'm just hoping that. Actually, that's one of the things I want to do today is look and see exactly how many employees they have. Hopefully, they have under 100, and they will not be required to by our insane government to make everyone get injections. I can't do that. I'm not going to do that. Thanks, Judy. I'm trying. But yeah, like they say that a lot of the releases of non-native snakes in Florida was because someone had a pet python of some kind, and a hurricane came through, destroyed their house. The python got out. But I know that some of them, people actually released their snakes on their own. They had to. It happens all the time. They get a snake, they think it's cool, and it gets big. And some of these species of snakes get big enough to be scary. They can eat a young child or a dog. Occasionally you got snakes big enough to eat people. Or at least, even if they can't consume you, they might strangle you in your sleep if they got out of their cage or something. And a lot of people just aren't able to. They don't always build an appropriate enclosure for the animal. Judy says we're going back underground like we've done before in the past. Nothing new under the sun that hasn't already been done, said my mom. Yeah. Ultimately, we keep repeating the mistakes of the past over and over and over again. I mean, now going underground, I don't think is a mistake to do in general. Like in Oklahoma, every home should be an underground home. It's Tornado Alley. Why do you want to be a setting duck? You could die. You could lose everything. The snakes are inbreeding now, and they are creating monsters. I've heard those rumors. Usually when I've heard those rumors in the past, though, it was just a rumor, because typically species can't interbreed unless they're close enough related that they really are the same species. But I've heard people try to say that like a non-poisonous snake is interbreeding with a poisonous snake, and so now you have these snakes that look non-poisonous, but they're actually poisonous. Those are always nonsense. Proliferated, I guess, by people who don't know or just hate all snakes and want people to hate all snakes. I don't know. I love snakes. I don't care what kind it is. I've even kept poisonous ones for pets in the past. At one time, I had a cage that had dozens of copperheads in it. But I typically didn't like to keep non-native snakes. I always kept native ones that would eventually be released anyway, and they should be, if they're really, they would be released into their native habitat. Non-native snakes would not survive in Oklahoma typically anyway, because a lot of, most of them are from tropical regions. So it wouldn't necessarily be a problem in Oklahoma, but you just killed that poor snake, basically. So I wouldn't worry too much about the rumors of inbreeding. If I had to, I can't say for certain, but if I had to guess, it's probably untrue in every case, every claim. But But it's still bad to have those snakes, because some of those snakes get, dozens of feet long. They get huge. They're eating the alligators, if that tells you anything. Movie Anaconda. Yeah, that was kind of ridiculous, really. That was a crazy movie. Yeah. Yeah, snakes are good as long as they're in the habitat they belong in. I saw someone posted on Facebook a few days ago. They had killed this snake, and they're like, "What is it?" I'm like, "Well, why did you kill something you didn't know what it was?" And some people were making guesses that were completely incorrect. But what it was a speckled king snake. It's kind of common king snake. King snakes eat other snakes. Every king snake I've caught, and I've caught so many of them, these native speckled king snakes are very mild-mannered snakes. Compared to other snakes, they like hardly even bite a lot of the time. They're practically tame straight out of the wild, and but they eat other snakes, and as well as rodents and stuff like that, and they're completely harmless to humans. And it was unfortunate that person killed such a harmless creature. I don't know why people are so freaked out by snakes. You are 100 times bigger than that poor little animal. Why is it striking at you? Because it's scared shitless. That's why. You're something way bigger than it. You are far more of a threat. It's no threat to you at all. A speckled king snake is zero threat to a human at all. It can barely break the skin if it bites. And every time I've been bit by a snake like that, I couldn't even really feel pain. Like, it might draw a little blood, but it's like tiny little, very sharp teeth, and so you might bleed a little bit, but you don't even really feel pain. It's just no threat. So, yeah. I don't know. I guess Brandy must be offline. I knew she'd be interested in this. It was her video where she had run across some of these things in the woods. She put it up yesterday on Bigfoot and Cryptids Next in a video titled Peace Part 2. So check it out. She's strolling through the woods, checking some stuff out, and narrating. Oh, we got one of those. A snake is a snake. Oh, yes, all snakes are snakes. And I like them all. I like all snakes. They're just a cool creature and serve such a important purpose in the ecosystem. I was living at one property years ago, and it belonged to my friends, and they had never noticed the copperheads out there. They never saw them. But I, from a lifelong snake collector, so I can spot them like that. And I started catching copperheads. Every night there was between 1 and 5 that I picked up within 10 foot of the house. Every night. That's how I end up with dozens of copperheads. And so I told them, and they were like, they don't like snakes. So now they're starting to look for them, and they're starting to spot them, and they started shooting them, and they kept shooting them and shooting them and shooting them, and the snakes just kept coming. And I'm like, every time you kill a snake, you're just leaving that niche open where another snake will move in, and these snakes will keep coming. In fact, the copperheads, when I threw them in the aquarium, they started having babies in there, and they're just multiplying. And it doesn't do you any good to kill them, because there's another one waiting to occupy that niche. So it's best to learn to live in harmony with them. Make sure they can't get in your house. Make sure you don't got rodents that would draw in something that wants to eat the rodents. And because you certainly don't want copperheads coming in your house. You could have an accidental bite. But just learn to live in peace with them. They don't want to hurt you. Don't go walking through the leaves in the woods at night. Watch where you're stepping, because copperheads hide very well in an oak forest. But Meredith says, getting bit from a puppy hurts more than a snake. You were just talking about, yeah. Just about any mammal. They got a strong bite. Snakes don't rely on a strong bite necessarily to do damage. The poisonous ones rely on their poison, and then the non-poisonous ones, that's just not an ability they have. Plus, like I got bit by when I was a kid, I picked up a gopher and it bit me. Boy, that was a horrible bite. Them suckers can bite, and they can carry diseases that can infect you. Snakes don't carry any diseases that can infect a human, but rodents do. Judy grew up in the boonies on Highway 301 at Hillsboro. Manatee lines, snakes, and gators everywhere. Do you have stories? My biggest fear is sitting on a toilet and ouch. Well, let's hope that never happens. So I'm going to wrap it up. People should be aware, invasive species can be a serious problem. These lanternflies are damaging a lot of native trees, and they could be spreading. So hopefully we have a stronger effort to eliminate them and prevent further importation of that particular insect. Yeah, you can say what you want. I mean, YouTube's probably far more worried about some of the other things I say than what you're saying. Everyone, thanks for coming. I'm going to cut her off there. See you next time.